Hey guys, Ivan here, and in today's video, we got a couple of really interesting bodybuilding topics to go over. The first thing we got is some back and forth between Bob Cicherillo and Arnold Classic, let's put it that way, or actually Brian Powers, the promoter of the show or the executive director of Arnold Classic. And you guys probably saw this post that Bison Trice made. I mean, there is a lot of comments. I left my comment as well. It's basically Bob Cicherillo talking about Nick Walker and kind of, trying to put him down, saying that he's not going to be higher than 7th, that he's not a legitimate contender for the Mr. Olympia title. I mean, basically just hating on Nick Walker. And you guys probably know my opinion on this. And it is that Bob is talking nonsense. I really don't think he really believes in what he's saying. He's doing this for clout. I guess the MC job is not paying enough and he's trying to create a little bit bigger social media by creating this beef with Nick Walker. And it's working. It's definitely working. I'm starting to actually like Bob and his assessments of the shows and everything like that. He does have some interesting takes, some interesting opinions, and he's, of course, very well spoken. But when he's talking about Nick, this is just pure nonsense, and yeah, there is no such thing as bad publicity, but I don't know. In this case, I'm not sure. Now, what is interesting here is that Brian Powers really goes into this, and we're gonna hear a lot of interesting things in this back and forth, and there is basically no likes on Bob's comments. Everybody seems to be supporting Brian Powers, and I should be as well, I guess, because I would like to be sponsored by Arnold Classic to promote their show at some point, or I don't know, I can definitely get something from Arnold Classic, and I don't think I can get anything from supporting Bob Cicherillo, but I'll be honest, because in some cases here, I actually disagree with Brian on some matters here. Bob did make a couple of really good points, so let's get into it. Let's start with the first comment that Brian made. And he says, "You can't claim to be the impartial voice of bodybuilding while using your platform to tear down the people you're paid to present and support on stage. It's a clear conflict of interest and it sends the wrong message about professionalism in our sport. Athletes deserve unbiased, respectful presentation, not knowing that the same guy announcing their name might be mocking them on air tomorrow. It's not about silencing opinion, it's about knowing the way of your role and understanding when commentary crosses the line into contradiction. You can't be the voice of bodybuilding if you're also acting as a particular athlete's loudest critic." And as you can see, this comment has 204 likes already, which means most people definitely support Brian, and that's the majority of comments I'm seeing as well. The way I see it, guys, it's like, if he's professional at his job, if he's emceeing normally, if he's not really doing that on stage, then I guess what he's saying, on his social media doesn't have to matter, doesn't have to affect that. But that's if he's actually being honest about his prediction and about his assessment. What he's doing is, he's actually critiquing Nick and basically putting him down. We can't prove that he actually doesn't think what he's saying and he's doing that just to hate on Nick for clout, but we know. We can't prove it, but we know. We all know. So what Brian says here, I have to agree with that. Bob responds, "LOL, that's rich coming from you. You and the word professionalism is an oxymoron, just like jumbo shrimp." I don't know what he means by this. It's not really an argument, so let's just move on. I mean, there is some bad blood between these two guys. Bob was an MC for the Arnold, and then they fired him for whatever reason, and these two guys had beef before, and they're continuing it, and they're gonna go pretty deep into this one. So let's go with the next comment, a reply from Brian. So he says, "Professionalism isn't about being perfect, it's about showing respect for the athletes, the platform, and the audience. When your criticism turns personal or becomes public mocking, it sends a confusing message to the audiences that spills onto the stage and detracts from the product. One of the storylines going into the Olympia shouldn't be speculating about what an athlete or announcer might say to one another at the awards presentation. We aren't the main characters here, it's the athletes that are numero uno always." Okay, very good points here. I can't disagree with anything here. It's just that, that beef between Nick and Bob, I don't know, it's just, I think Nick doesn't really care too much about what Bob is saying. I think he even likes it, he likes people to doubt him, and, it creates this fuzz online, and I think it actually helps Nick, and, Nick made those who the F is Bob t-shirts, and I think these guys are fine, really, but again, what Brian says here makes perfect sense. Can't disagree with anything here. But the next one is interesting. It's Bob's reply, and this time around, it's actually, serious reply. He actually gets into it. Let's check this one. So he says, funny you mention all that, as I've never once in my life been unprofessional on stage in my capacity. As for the athletes being showcased, and number one, it was your boss Arnold that left Nick Walker in the middle of the stage the year he won, with no interview or chance to talk to his fans, family, judges, etc. It was because my professional conduct that he got that opportunity, as I put him first, as the winner, to have his moment on stage. I've never once made any personal comments towards Nick, ever. Okay, now what Bob says here is also true. I have to agree with this. As far as I know, Bob was always professional on stage. You may dislike some of his jokes or whatever, but the guy is trying. He's doing the best he can, and I think he's doing a pretty good job as an MC. I don't think he was ever unprofessional on stage, and I don't think he actually said anything personal about Nick Walker. Yeah, he's critiquing him, and he's putting him down as a competitor. He's saying he's gonna play his Lord, and he actually most likely will. But, that's still, just analyzing the show, making a prediction with an intent to create drama. I'm sure he knows what he's saying is not really accurate, but still, it's not really personal. He's not talking about Nick's personality or anything like that. He's just talking about him and his physique and where he's gonna place. Again, also probably uncalled for, but not really personal. And what he says about Arnold not interviewing Nick, that's also very true. Before we actually talk about that, let me show you what Brian's response to this was. You can't seriously be referencing 2021. That was the show we pulled off in the depths of the C word with no expo, a limited capacity, massive restrictions, and financial loss in the hundreds of thousands. And still you managed to get paid in full, and Nick got his moment as a champion. Arnold had breakfast with him and his family the next morning. And then he talks about what Arnold did for the Arnold Classic, how they increased the prize money, and like how it still was held even though there was no expo, and they lost some money, but they still held it, and this and that. But that's all awesome, that's all great. But what Bob said about Arnold not interviewing Nick, that actually happened, and it's sad. It's sad that it happened. And I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that it was 2021, because Arnold was on that stage. He congratulated Nick. He gave him the trophy. He just left after that. He didn't want to interview the guy. And he interviews everybody. He's always there on the stage with every winner. He asks them questions. And that's basically one of the best moments you get on the Arnold Classic stage as a winner. That's what Nick was looking forward to. He was hoping for that moment. And when he won, he expected that. But Arnold just walked away. Why? Is it because, I don't know, there was no expo or whatever Brian is saying? No. I'm sure it was because Arnold did not like Nick's physique. He actually called him out for his varicose veins. And, he called out many people for many different reasons. Like, he made fun of guys, like, for not doing the vacuum, for not looking aesthetic, for men's physique guys not having legs, or actually not showing legs. The physique, the whole division doesn't make sense. And, that's Arnold. He does all that kind of stuff. And like, you can't really say anything about that. He's gonna be like that. He doesn't care. He says what he thinks, and that's it. And in this case, he decided not to interview Nick Walker, and that is the reality. And apparently it wasn't Bob's job to interview Nick Walker, but he did it anyways. He gave him the opportunity to do a little speech, and, I'm sure Nick is grateful for that. So what Bob is saying is true. I have to agree with that. And then Bob replies to this. He says, LOL, please, you're making a fool out of yourself. They had breakfast the next morning, but he couldn't interview him on stage for 1 minute. His moment was then, as a champion, on stage in victory, not at a breakfast buffet the following day in the Hilton. Yep, I completely agree with this. There is no excuse for this. Brian can say what he wants, but he can't defend Arnold in this situation. Arnold did something that was wrong. He wronged Nick Walker for sure, and I think we can all agree with that. But that doesn't mean that Bob is doing wrong things as well. As Brian says here, he's quoting Bob, "I am the guy who's going to be announcing you at 8th place isn't commentary. It's a power trip. You're not judging, you're not coaching, and you're definitely not deciding placings. But statements like this make it sound like you think you are. That's exactly the problem. It's ego disguised as expertise, and it undermines the integrity of the sport." There's a couple more comments, but it's basically just going back and forth, repeating the same things. And what Brian says in the end also is interesting. He says that Bob was paid for emceeing the Arnold Classic 5 figures. So, like I said, Bob is trying to create a bigger social media presence because I'm guessing he's not paid well enough for emceeing the shows, but maybe that's not true. I'm not sure exactly how much he's paid for the other shows, but yeah, 5 figures, that's a good amount of money for emceeing one show. But, the guy wants more. He wants to create his social media, and he's using Nick and basically hating on Nick to create more fuzz, to create more drama online. And yeah, again, what Brian is saying is absolutely true. I don't think what Bob is doing is professional. As an official MC of the Mr. Olympia, many other shows, he probably shouldn't be doing this thing that he's doing. But again, I don't think Nick is taking it personally. But does that really matter? Probably not. Again, as an MC, he probably should be a little bit more careful what he's saying and, be more professional than he is on his podcast. But hey, you guys tell me, what do you think about this down below in the comment section. Alright, the next thing we got is some California Pro talk, and we're gonna start with an update from Regan Grimes. We got a couple of those. First, we got this one with Milos Archev, his former coach, and Jay Cutler as well, and I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, why are you guys not calling me out more for being completely wrong about Regan Grimes? This entire prep, I meant he was not gonna be in shape. I really thought he was not gonna be in condition at all. I thought he was gonna be completely off. And I mean, yeah, he felt the same way at 1 week out of New York Pro, but he decided to still do it. I guess he made a mistake as well, so maybe that's why you're forgiving me. But yeah, I was so wrong. This guy actually brought the best conditioning of his life. Take a look at this video that he posted as well. I mean, the guy is definitely in crazy condition. He is peeled, man. He is shredded. His glutes, his hamstrings, his back, everything, chest, midsection, quads, everything is just shredded. I mean, he never brought this kind of conditioning to any stage ever before, especially not with this kind of fullness as well. I mean, yeah, he could have progressed more, and he has the tools to be, to win the Mr. Olympia, literally. He has the structure, he has the symmetry, he has the shape, the proportions, the balance, everything, really. And that's why we're being so hard at him, because he could definitely do more than he's doing. But he's still on. He still brought it. Now that he's working with Stefan Kinsel, he's definitely doing things really well. And also Stefan said that he didn't suffer at all for this prep up until New York Pro. Maybe they pushed a little bit harder for California Pro. I hope so. And he's going to be even more conditioned and potentially fuller at the same time if he carbs up properly, because this looks really good. This looks really good, and I definitely have him winning the California Pro. And I was watching the Food Abiat's podcast, and they were all like, a lot of them were like, Bruno Santos is going to win. Food was like, he was telling people that are crazy for having Regan winning it, over Bruno. And I was like, am I crazy? Or is Food making a huge mistake? Because I absolutely do have Regan winning this show. Paul Lozon had an interesting pick. He actually had Sass winning the show, and I would absolutely agree with that if Sass was able to bring his 100%. If we saw Sass from FIBO that actually beat Andrew Jack in the pre-judging, that Sass would win California Pro. But can we see that? I do not think so, because I checked this video from the New York Pro. Here you can see left to right Nick Walker, William Bonac, Mikhail Krizo, and Sas Hirati. And then take a look at Sass's lower body, like glutes and hamstrings, and lower back. Is this water? Is this just a missed peak? I don't think so. To me, this looks like fat. It looks like he actually got fatter in the meantime. Maybe he increased the food, he thought he was gonna increase his fullness and maybe get a little bit bigger while maintaining conditioning, but he got fatter. Like, I don't think this is water. I don't think he can fix this with one peak week. Maybe he can burn the fat off really quickly. I don't know what his metabolism is like how much fat can he burn in 1 week, but I don't think this is water. Maybe there is some water and some fat, so maybe he can somehow manage to bring something pretty good, but to bring what he brought to the FIBO stage, I don't see that happening. And unless he brings his 100% with his structure, I don't see him winning this show. I mean, again, I don't think he can actually bring his 100% based on this look at the New York Pro right here. As far as Bruno Santos, yeah, the guy is massive, but he was 13th at the Mr. Olympia last year. Regan's best placement was 9th, and that was 2 years ago, so Regan probably made more progress than Bruno did. And also, Bruno lost to Brett Wilkin last year, and Fuad's comment on this was that Brett is just a bigger version of Sas Hirati, which I also completely disagree with. I mean, Brett is great, and he is bigger than Sas, but he doesn't have the quality, the separation, the conditioning that Sas had. No, I don't think that's... I think Sas is better than Brett. And as far as Bruno, once again, yeah, the guy is a freak. He's definitely very big, and, you know, he brought some pretty good conditioning before, but look at this. I mean, this is him right now. Look at it from behind, and this is only 10 days ago. 10 days. How much more condition could he have gotten in 10 days? If he wasn't in shape at 10 days out, I mean, is his, like, lower body, are his glutes going to be ripped on stage? I don't know. It's very difficult to say. Maybe he's actually holding a lot of water here, but I don't think so. From the side, he does have separation, but I have separation in my glutes right now in my off season. I mean, not like this, but there are some lines, and it's easy to have separation from the side. It's from the back that matters. So, yeah, I think he's going to be in decent conditioning, but is he going to be in Regan's conditioning? I don't think so, and he also doesn't have the structure like Regan. He might be bigger, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I might even have Leandro above Bruno, because look at his conditioning right now. I mean, we saw it on the New York Pro stage and at the Arnold Classic Brazil. This guy is in good condition, and I think he improved it even more. I mean, he definitely could have been more conditioned at New York and Arnold Classic Brazil, but it was decent conditioning. It wasn't that bad. What he lacks is, in my opinion, just size. But here, as you can see, he improved. His conditioning is better. He's also pretty big. He has really good, really complete physique. Like, he doesn't lack any body parts. So I think this guy can definitely be in that top 2 or top 3. You know, if Sas doesn't bring conditioning and if Bruno is also not in great shape, I think Leonardo and Regan can be in the top 2. This show is going to be super exciting because we have no idea who's going to place where. It all depends on what these guys bring. But let me make my own official prediction for the top 5. In first, I'll have Regan. In second, I'll have Leandro. In third, I'll have Bruno. In fourth, Sas Hirati. And then in fifth, I don't know, man. Let's say Patrick Moore. Let's say Patrick Moore because he already won California a couple of years ago, and maybe he's actually going to bring good conditioning. So let's predict Patrick in that top 5. And that's the way I see it, guys. You can give me your top 5 down below in the comment section. Let's wait and see tomorrow what's actually going to be the outcome. I'm really excited about this one. Really curious to see what's going to happen. Alright, and finally, we got one really impressive physique update from Keone Pearson, who is preparing for the Mr. Olympia, and I gotta tell you, he looks freaking insane right now. This is just looking bonkers, man. Like, this is looking crazy. Like, everything is there, everything is massive, everything is big and full, and you saw him at the guest posing against Samson and the other open guys. He definitely can hang. He can definitely do well in the open, but is he going to do the open? That's something you can see online, everywhere, on every social media page. And officially, as he says, he's not going to be doing the open. Not yet. But I know something. I'll just say that. I know something. I can't say what I know, unfortunately, but I know something. And it is very interesting. When the time comes, you guys know what it is. It's something interesting about Keone. I'll just say right now, he is not switching to the open. He's doing the 212 Olympia. And that's what I know so far. But yeah, the guy looks like a freak and he could definitely do some damage in the open class. You guys tell me down below, what do you think? If you guys enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more content like this about bodybuilding, stay tuned, subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for watching, all the best, and bye-bye.